Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by a Hall of Fame promoter, Frank Warren. Rarely that we do this in person, so it's great to see you.
What's happening, mate? You look different on telly.
Yeah, well, it adds £10, but for me, there's a lot of cameras on at the same time. Frank, we're here 2 days before the rematch between Anthony Yarde and Lyndon Arthur. Huge fight, WBO #1 position at stake as well. What can we expect on Saturday night?
Well, I think because of all how you've framed that, you're going to expect a good fight. The winner will get the winner of Callum Johnson and Joe Smith. So they get the winner of that. That's going to go on in January. So the winner will fight the winner of that fight. So that's what you've got going for you. And if you're a fighter and you've got a chance of a world title fight, and that's what you've got, that'll get the best out of you. And you'll get the best out of these guys. You know, the last fight between them was in a sterile atmosphere, behind closed doors. It was a good fight, but it didn't quite spark how I expected to. But on Saturday, that's what I expect. I expect it to be a really explosive fight.
What changes do you feel Yarde needs to make when he's in the ring? We know he's made changes to the backroom team, if you like, but what does he need to do on the night?
Well, you know, the last fight he felt he won it. One of the judges felt he won it, by the way, but I thought that Lyndon won it by a round. Nothing in it. It was a very close fight, but he done the same thing more or less every round until the last round. Lyndon said that he had a problem with his right hand. He got him through his right hand, so he worked behind his jab, and he worked well behind his jab. And as I said, there weren't too much in it. So now his right hand's working. He's made adjustments, he said, to his team, Anthony, and he's also knows that he can't do what he did last time. So they shared the ring for 12 rounds. They know what they feel they need to do to adjust what happened last time. They're both going in there 100% fit. So we're going to see, you know, who's going to prevail here. You know, who's got the boxing brain? Because it's not just about power. If it's all about who's the biggest puncher, then we'd need no judges, just be a referee there. They can both punch, but also don't underestimate the fact that also Anthony can box. He's got a good jab. And, you know, as I say now, I feel it's going to be so competitive. I really do feel it's going to be a really competitive fight.
Now, when you pitted two of your fighters together before, in Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois, you weren't afraid to jump off the fence. So I'm going to ask you this time around, who you picking and how?
I've got to be honest with you, because of what happened last time, I can see a case for both of them. I really can see a case for both of them. I can see if Anthony gets to him and can hurt him. As I said, you know, Lyndon can punch. They can both jab. I don't think it's going to go the distance, though. I really don't. I think these two guys are going to give it all, and they have to give it all. They can't be. They're not going to be able to leave anything behind because of what is at stake. Who wants that world title fight? Who wants it the most out of both of them? It's a very evenly matched fight at the moment, and they're both quite confident. And when you look at them, and when you look at them at face enough, I'm looking at both of them, seeing any, you know, is there any tension? They're both very, very confident. I can see that.
Now, if Callum Johnson springs what would be a mild upset in beating Joe Smith Jr., would you make that match against the winner of this straight away?
It's got to happen. It'll be out of my hands. It will happen. Callum and Joe Smith definitely won't go the distance. That is going to be an absolute war. For a very short space of time. They're both capable, and I think it's going to be a war. Be a great fight to watch.
So we could see an all-British world title fight early next year.
Yeah, that's what we want, isn't it? But even if it's not, we're going to see British involvement again in a world title fight next year.
Now, talking of British world champions, Tyson Fury, obviously everyone's keen to see his next move. Most recently, he said he'd quite like Joshua to step aside so he could unify against Alexander Usyk. If that doesn't happen, who are the favourites to fight Tyson next?
Well, first of all, we're all working hard to see if we can make that happen. And he did an interview a few days ago, or last Saturday, AJ, and he sort of basically, the bottom line of it all he said he was a businessman. So that means if he's a businessman, there's a price. So everybody's working to try and make this happen. If it doesn't work, and I hope that's not going to be the case, if it doesn't, Tyson's made it very clear he wants to fight in March. And if he wants to fight in March, it'll be in the UK. And we'll have to find somebody for him to fight. We're working on, I'm not going to say who they are at the moment, but we're working on a couple of options. And we've got to have a backup plan. I don't want to happen what happened last year, where it just, it all got cancelled at the last minute and all the nonsense that went down. We're going to be prepared, and this, I hope in the next 10 days we're going to announce something. Well, we will have to announce something for Tyson, one way or another.
Is Dillian Whyte one of those options?
There are various options, but Dillian Whyte, no one's against that fight. What it was all about, if it were to happen, is what percentages for purse bids, and I think that's going to be pretty much foregone conclusion. Even if he wins his arbitration, what those percentages are going to be.
Would you like to see that as a big fight you could promote, a big battle of Britain, or?
I got a problem with that. No one's got a problem with a fight. The problem was with all the ridiculous things about 60-40 splits and whatever. That is the ridiculous scenario. But just park all that up for a minute. All we want to do is all I want is for Tyson to be in the ring in March, preferably a unification match.
Amir Khan and Kell Brook finally getting it on after you obviously tried to put them together a number of years ago. What do you make of them now getting it over the line, albeit older?
Well, look, it is what it is. They've both seen better days. They're past their sell-by date, but they can see they can earn some money, get a pension between the two of them. Good luck to them. I don't blame them for doing that. They're obviously not. Neither of them are the fighter they were. None of us are what we were years ago, but they're not the fighters they were. But good luck to them.
Who would you back in that fight? This vintage.
Vintage.
No, this vintage. Khan and Brook at this age.
How long is it since they fought?
I think Khan 3 years, Brook 2.
I've got no idea. And they both lost their last fights, didn't they?
Oh no, Khan beat Billy Dibb, didn't he, last time actually?
Yeah. But I mean, who would I? There's nothing. There's nothing in it. I don't think there's anything in it. It's. I'm sure both of them are not being strict training for the last 2 or 3 years. That's for sure.
Prime for prime, who would you have backed?
That's a tough one. At their prime, at their very best, I would lean towards Amir.
Okay, why?
For boxing aspects.
Or just style-wise?
Style-wise, yeah.
And just,
not a lot in it, but that's a personal opinion.
And just before I let you go, there's 2 fights taking place in the US this weekend. You're not promoting neither of them. BT Sport aren't broadcasting either of them, so you can be completely impartial.
I always am.
But which is the better fight in your view? Gervonta Davis against Cruz or Devin Haney against his opponent?
Gervonta Davis.
Jojo Diaz.
Davis.
Davis against Cruz. Why?
I just feel styles. It's styles, isn't it? It's styles.
See someone that excites you, Davis? Obviously, you brought him over here to fight Liam Walsh a few years ago.
Yeah. Do you know something about him? He's not fulfilled his potential. The reason I made the fight with Liam, because I noticed before he fought Liam, he looked like he could be beaten. But on that night, Liam beat himself. In my opinion, I don't think he just didn't seem like he wanted to be there. Having said that, afterwards, Gervonta Davis then put a couple of average performances in, and I was a bit disappointed. But on his day, he can be an exceptional fighter. Haney's a good fighter too. Don't get me wrong. He's a very, very good talent. They're good fights. Both of them are good fights. But I just feel the other one just edges it.
Brilliant, Frank Warren. Really appreciate it.